All right, folks around here, welcome back to another week here on the Regulators. We have the usual coach, Terry Van, SEO Dojo, SEO Pros. How's it going, brother?
Good, Dave. How are you today?
Go Leafs, go. Great. Go Leafs, go.
Yeah, I don't waste my time there much lately.
Yeah. And, of course, Steve, Steam Driven Media. How you doing this week?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
Good. Bearer of awesome forum threads. Yep, I enjoyed that.
Yes.
Well, those are classics, man. Hold on a second. I gotta put a couple notifications out. So I guess we were going to start today with our new half segment of educational material. And as we get this rolling, we were going to talk about site migrations, I guess. Yeah, we came across a post, but I don't think it was the post itself. It was more that, oh yeah, there's a topic that one can only do. Well, again, we were just saying before the show that Steve, 25,000 pages. Did you say?
Yeah, we're they're developing a whole new website with roughly 180,000 pages, and the developers who also happen to sell SEO services did not even consider keeping the old URL structure. They're building from scratch, from the ground up, and I'm coming in really late to the program and mentioned maintaining the URL structure, and their immediate response is, "Oh, we'll just handle it in HT access with redirects." And let's just throw 180,000 redirects.
No server load there whatsoever.
Well, then I brought up the point that they weren't developing the website on a Linux box; they're developing it in a Windows platform using .NET 4.5. So that also.
I know how to fix it.
I know, Terry.
Well, Terry, you still got the old approach, Terry, as far as.
Saying you can't do Windows. There's only one way to migrate a site like that on Windows, and that's you basically leave the replace every page with a redirect. There's no other way to do it. But because they're not really serving the page, Steve, you just write a script that embeds. Because also you got to take into account that IIS server is very finicky, often sends the wrong response codes and chains them because they keep the connections alive, right? So it's chained. Often Google gets a 200 when it should be something else.
Exactly. The problem isn't so much. There's no reason to even do the redirects because they're pulling 99% of the data out of a database, and the original site constructs the URLs based on the fields that it's pulling. It's like you can do the exact same thing. Just replicate the process. It's not that hard. But that's just, when it comes to site
URLs were still were they still SEF URLs, or they parameter URLs, or what? Like they're reasonable.
No, they're all just plain clean URLs. There's no.
Yeah. So there was really no reason to change them other than just being lazy.
Yeah, often you just put a hyphen between spaces and build the URL.
But from the article on Search Engine Land, folks, this is what happens to your Google traffic when you change URLs and don't redirect.
Yes.
Wow. That's a
Unfortunately, you meet a lot of clients that bring you. When you look at their analytics, that's why they're there.
Well, see, and this is the thing that when it comes to site migrations, the absolute first thing we look at is URL structure.
Right. Well,
you can't make. Unless your goal is to get away from your old URL structure because of a penalty or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, or even if I'm redoing crappy architecture that's got really badly written, instruction site, badly written URLs, etc., etc. But you know what I mean. If it's a couple hundred pages or less, that's not as big an issue. But yeah, I think that's consideration number one. And I think that what goes hand in hand with that too is a post-launch thing as far as tracking, tracking 404s and shit like that after the fact, and make sure you didn't miss something and pick up the loose change.
Yeah, exactly, because you're always going to find that as well. It's not as simple as just copying the site over and turning it back on. You've got a lot of follow-through that you're going to have to pay attention to in analytics. You're going to have to pay attention to in Webmaster Tools. You're going to have to watch for crawl errors. Then this is just URL structure. You start looking at other things that start happening during a site migration, and you start really running into some problems on larger websites.
Yeah, every time, tags that might have been implemented that weren't there before, that's going to change the entire architecture of internal linking on the site.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen that before, Terry. We love our tags, Terry, so much. So I've seen that go wrong. I've seen massive changes in title tags or drop title tags or badly implemented rel next or badly implemented rel canonical, on and on and on. There's a laundry list of things that you should be checking before and after launch. And I think that's like is watching after launch, because so many times, even when I think I've covered all the bases, and when you start monitoring after launch, it's like, oh wow, apparently there's shit I didn't see or the programmers didn't catch.
Well, I think to do, it's hard for someone who hasn't done a lot of migrations to kind of figure out what can go wrong, right? Once you've done a bunch, you kind of say,
it's that learn the hard. It's that learn the hard way shit. Well, it's learning the hard way, man. That's the only way, Terry. You got to do enough of them, And that's it. Go rank some of your test sites. Go rank some of your test sites SEOs out there, and practice migrating them where it won't hurt anybody. You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't just start advising some client if you don't have that experience.
I will say a site migration is also a really good time to really take a close look at your navigation again. That's a really good opportunity to fix your navigational issues, especially if you're doing tags is one. You can look at ways of cleaning up the way your content's being presented. You've got a chance to do some canonical work for a change. Since you're making a big major overhaul, now's the perfect time to do all of that.
Yeah, I'm working with a site, company. I've been working with them for a while now, and before we even started redesigning the new website and migrating to it, 2 months before that, I was already assessing the content and making these decisions before we even started to migrate. My thinking was that, well, we're going to change something, so I also need to know what I got to look for in the way of theme for the WordPress and all that stuff, right? So planning is a lot of it. I don't think a lot of people really sit down and think about.
I know the web developers don't think about it at all, because all they're interested in their spec sheets is how you want the website to function.
Right.
Very few of them consider the process of moving.
Or malfunction in the case of some.
Which is weird. I guess that's we come in almost as not even SEOs, I'd say, to an extent, because we think how the business should function first, and then work our way towards how the website should function to accomplish those goals. You know what I mean? I don't think web developers tend to think that way a lot. Well, because they're not around after. We're the guys that get the monthly. We got to pay for it, sing for our supper. Web developer comes in, develops, gets paid, and leaves in 90% of the time.
And I've seen that so often where we get the phone call. Well, we just had a new website built, and all of our traffic's gone. Really?
Yeah.
Let's have a talk. And of course, one of the things that they should do up front that they never do is a full XML sitemap of the old site, so they have all the old URLs.
Right.
I'm pretty sure our good friend Brian McFarland is being cheeky with us in the question and answer area. He said, I'm starting a new WordPress website. with permalink structure of category dash post name using silo architecture. I sure hope that's being humorous. All right.
We had a silo down on the farm. It's pretty good for storing corn.
Green. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, Steve, I think so much you got to, like Terry's saying, plan into it ahead of time. What content am I chopping? Am I using schema? Like we've always said here, this is the time that you want to start thinking about, hey, would schema be useful? Link to it. Like, a half ago, but 301s did lose some juice, not a massive amount. So do you want to, get your better, stronger links externally? Do you want to try and get those people to change the link as opposed to having the redirect catch it? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and follow up on the URL structure thing. I know Brian's over here in the Q&A posting. When in certain circumstances we do use category slash post name, especially if we're doing a local work, because then you're starting to stuff
I
a
think
lot
he's got a
of.
dash. It doesn't have a slash; it's a dash.
Oh, well, I don't know that I would do dash, but I would definitely do. That way you're back to. I mean, because that's the way we used to do things. Everything was in a category, so you have the most weight for that key phrase or keyword grouping in one location. And that really seems to be playing well for local. So if you've got, a plumbing shop that services a whole lot of different areas, and you start writing content about this little small town that you work in, and then that little small town and you work in, and you start getting these content funnels that seems to be really helping on the local side, which we'll probably talk about next time.
Yeah, but again, I've always been strong on the category kind of structure with the slash over the dash. I mean, sure, maybe a category name has 2 words, but sure, but WordPress site that you're just doing category dash post name, I don't know if that's going to be as effective, and I think just even things as far as Google is concerned, how they tend, like you said too, because then you're creating a hub page at some point. The head layer of that category is going to be that hub page that you're now passing down through, and it's going to get more crawled, more juice, more everything.
Yep. Definitely a fan of the hub page design, architecture.
Good stuff.
So it's never let me down in 20 years, Steve, so I'll stick with it.
So then, after that, when it comes to site migration, obviously you've got your standard data imports. This is also a really good time to take Panda in consideration and look at your pages that aren't performing real well and seeing if there's an opportunity to either improve that page or combine it with several other pages to make one really good page. And then you're still going to end up with a couple of redirects, but at least then you're redirecting to something with some quality.
Yep. Look at your topicality, too, topics, etc. Like I said, it's a good time to do a good content audit, right? That's how I started, was basically with, here's what we've got, here's where I want to go, here's what we're going to need to get there.
Right. And that's, and since you're working on a site that's technically a development server, or in a development location at least, you can work out all those content issues, all those structure issues in a clean environment where you don't have traffic coming through, you don't have users seeing broken stuff, and you can get it perfect before you make migration. And then when you do the migration, you try to do it at your lowest point of traffic in the day instead of your busiest. I've seen people try to do that as well. It's like, well, all the developers are only here during the week, so we're going to go ahead and move this on Monday morning. That way we've got all week to work on it if it breaks. No.
No, actually, you want to do it on the weekend so you can do it when less people are on your website. And
so what kind of website you have? But yeah, exactly. You want to time it, and if that means your developer has to stay up late one night or 2 nights, then so be it. But the last thing you want to do, run a site migration during your peak, especially if you have a traffic or a site that already has a lot of traffic. I mean, if you got a site that only gets a couple hundred visits a month, who cares? But if you're getting a couple hundred visits a minute, that kind of transition is jarring because somebody just hit refresh on a page and their website completely changed on them.
Right. I do most of it late at night anyhow.
Right.
We generally start Friday night, so we have maximum amount of time.
Yeah, but you mean same as Steve's saying though, if it's a UK client, you know what I mean, or whatever, et cetera, you adjust for the time frame. Like meaning if 80% of the traffic's UK or Australia or whatever, and I've had to do those, but I can't tell you how many times, Steve, I've done migrations at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm staying up tonight. So.
I did one for a client just a few weeks ago, and everything was beautiful. The website worked perfect. I went to log back into the administration panel, couldn't get in for some reason. The migration locked out all the admin accounts. Talk about a pucker. Yeah. Always have a quick rollback in place too, in case it goes poorly.
Yeah, I was about to say that because I've had a few of those where something's just broken or whatever, and you're staring at it going, "Oh, this is not good." So yeah, you gotta have the backup one just in a folder because in FTP you can just drag it back over and blah 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 away it goes. So
yes.
yeah, always have your backup in a folder on the server. Don't even bother with the whole up because then you got to, there you're at 2 in the morning trying to upload that whole site. Forget it. Put it into a folder on the server so you can just move it back over. Yeah. Big time.
Migrations terrify me more than anything because there's so many ways you can screw them up.
Yeah.
And having your client come in the first thing in the morning, you've been up for 12 hours straight banging your head, and they look at their old website going, what happened to the one we just rolled out last night? And say, well, we took it back down.
Well, then the pressure gets worse. You've got mailing, you've got mailers going out, or any other kind of activity going on as far as marketing's concerned for that launch. The pressure starts to build twice as much.
Yeah, it's also making sure that you're not doing a launch when you're trying to migrate the site too.
Well, there's another issue where we've seen where it's like, okay, we've got 6 months to develop the new website. And so marketing gets involved, and they plan a whole big launch in 9 months, pay for all the TV and radio and print ads, and then at 8.5 months, the new site's still not ready. There's marketing screaming because they've got 2 weeks to get this website finished. Developers are screaming because there's no way it's going to get done. Oh, I've been dropped in the middle of some very entertaining projects before. It's always fun.
Let's see. Mitch Bozeman was asking if he's been asked if it's better to use the highlighter function in Webmaster Tools or go in and add the schema code yourself.
I do it myself, then check it in Webmaster Tools. Yeah, find that you also learn a little bit while you're doing it. I'm an advocate of that. I don't like using plugins either. Learn how to do it by hand. It's just like HTML, right, Dave? The better coder, the guys who really get to understand it, or the guys who don't use a WYSIWYG editor, they learn how to, do it all the way. You know what I mean?
Well, back in the old days, you had front page or write it yourself. It was like, okay, I'll write it myself.
Yeah. Well, also, these tools usually aren't infallible either. So if they don't do it right,
even in Dreamweaver, I'll work in code view and then just render it afterwards just to make sure before I put it up or something. But yeah, I don't know. My brain just works better that way.
Yeah, mine.
You know, it's like when you come across those code that it's been optimized and it's all just like this. I'm so used to the structure being like this down a page. You read your way down that page, man. I come across one, it's like format, thank you, no. First thing I'm doing is format next. It doesn't make a hell of a lot of difference, but just for your brain to work when you're looking at the code.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
That's why when people look at my code, they've never seen where everything's lining up, and I try and make it easy for myself to read. So if I have to fix it, it's easy to do, right? Maintain the code. Bottom line.
Steve, I assume other good advice would be to keep notes all along the way.
Oh yeah.
Everything from development side to SEO side to everything. What titles we changed, which content we removed, et cetera, et cetera. Because then you got to get that post migration monitoring doing, not for but everything. You know what I mean? So much we watch, see this work, this was a good idea. That okay, let's change this page back.
You're breaking up pretty bad there, Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry, man.
One of the things we do, worst case scenario, is simply create a folder in Google Docs and give everybody access to that folder with multiple spreadsheets, or at least multiple tabs on a single spreadsheet of things we need to not forget, things that have been done, things that need to be done. We try to build a complete checklist. Best case scenarios, we try to run, bug trackers or something, some kind of project management software, just to keep everybody in the same spot. The other thing we do on site migrations is try to find on the client side the person who really wants the project to fail the most and put them in charge. That way, if the project fails, it's on them.
You're a sneaky bastard.
Hey, that's the only, because if you don't get them involved in the process, all they do is sit in the background and go, this, you're wrong, that's wrong, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Set them at the desk at the front of the classroom, make them participate, make them be a part of the solution.
Yeah.
And one of two things happens. Either they quit bitching or they quit. I've seen clients have employees quit because they didn't want to be in that spot. So that works for me too. Still, either way, my life got easier.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, yeah. Someone has to be in charge. With a website, yes. Got to be one person with a vision. Having 3 or 4 people, unless they can actually work off each other, right? And there's, you know what I'm saying, Steve. Like, some people are just...
I prefer to have a single point of contact and then carbon copy everybody who needs to know. That way, you're only working directly with one person at a time. And you can hand stuff off to that group and let them come up with an answer and come back to you with just an answer. So you're not dealing with 4, 5, 6 people at a time, which can happen. And it just gets confusing because then you don't know exactly who you're supposed to listen to. Do I listen to the guy who signs the check, or do I listen to the guy who's in charge of the project? From a consulting point of view, you can get in a real bad situation real quick.
I always look for who signs the check. He's in charge.
Yeah, but the problem is that guy sometimes doesn't actually know what he's doing. He's really good at what he's doing to make money. When it comes to site development, that's probably not his field.
Yeah, that often is the case.
Although it is nice when they send you a request for proposal, and the last paragraph says, and include all the bells and whistles. Woohoo! I just put another 0 at the end of that quote. Bells and whistles are expensive.
Yeah.
Or you can just put a bell and whistle, a whistle in a pocket.
Hey, Steve, you can have bells or whistles, not both. I'm sorry.
Another angel just got his wings.
Practices. And I think through this conversation, we've actually mentioned a lot of best practices. We just haven't formalized them into a list. I guess we'll do that sometime. Yeah, Brian, I'll tell you what, I'll try and put together from what we were talking about today something for the Friday chat. So drop by for that, and I'll see what I can post. Site migration. I'm so blue in my world today. I'm blue. Don't know why. All right. Do we have anything else in site migrations, or is that the gist of it?
I think that's, you know, as a entry level things to look at. There's some obviously some basic rules that you've got to follow, and these are the ones that are the most important.
From a marketing background or a link building background or web designer SEO types, do you think they should even be advising on stuff like this?
You're breaking up real bad, Dave.
Really? Well, I don't know what to tell you.
It only happens when you try to say something important.
Yeah, when I'm just babbling like this, it's fine, right? Yeah,
right.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But anyways, what I was saying was, do you think a non-technical SEO should be around this kind of stuff? Meaning, a client that comes in for advice on migration, if they're from a marketing or link building background, should they even touch this kind of shit?
No. This is definitely a project for a technical SEO, because there are so many technical issues that come up, because you have to be fluent enough at SEO and site development to understand the issues and the crossover problems that you're going to have, especially if you're switching platforms from .NET to PHP or whatever, or you're coming out of an old Cold Fusion design into Ruby on Rails. You really need somebody who is comfortable on both sides of that fence. And what you have is a more non-technical marketer who's maybe a copywriter who does all of those types of issues, but not somebody who gets into the code level. Then they're probably not going to be successful at this. At least not for a while, because they will eventually learn all these technical things, because they will fail miserably the first couple of times.
They realize that they are more important than they think. The other thing is there's multiple solutions, and you have to kind of know all the ways that you can solve the problem from both a SEO standpoint and your options as a developer, right? Because a lot of times, as SEO, you're kind of weighing the developer and the SEO optimization.
And you've got there's a third thing that you need to weigh, and that's the business issues.
Right.
If you're not taking, we've done that many times where we've talked to server admins and said business reasons, because of this has to be done because business reasons. And he says not going to do it. So, well, then we have no money to pay you, because business reasons are why we have the money to pay you to begin with. And if you're going to say we can't do certain things, well, then we can't pay you because business fails. So you have to be able to walk that line between those 3 points, between development, SEO, and business reasons, because sometimes business reasons trump everything. That's just the way it is. And you can whine and complain as a developer or an SEO all you want, but business reasons.
But that's the way, and that's the way it's got to be, though. Any of us, the developers, the web SEOs, anyone else on the related to the company, we make money when the company makes money. So if a decision goes against what makes that company money, it's a bad decision in a lot of cases. You got to start, like we almost said off the top, you got to start with understanding the business model and the goals of the business before you do anything, including building a website or anything else.
Oh, they make
and we've even gone as far. Back when I was doing real-location development back in the 90s, where we were writing internal software for businesses, before we start writing a single line of code, me or one of the partners would go and spend 4 or 5 days at that business working as an employee to see all the little things that they take for granted and forget to put in the spec. Because to them it's so obvious, why would this even need to be written down? And those are the things that need to be written down the most because most programmers aren't going to know those little tiny details.
Yeah, that's an important part for me.
Yeah, that's why, or you know, obviously not a lot of times you can't actually go there, but you know, Terry, remember how many times we've had those conference calls with a bunch of people at a table, the old phone in the middle, and here we are yipping away, you know, me, Terry, and 6 other department heads. Same kind of idea, because everyone gets those voices. One, because they're saying it out loud with everyone in a conference call. One person says one thing, and the guy in the other department goes, "Wait a minute," you know. And yeah, those kind of little details start to come out that you don't, because dealing with it down the road is going to suck, because all these department heads are going to be bombarding everyone, which comes back on your ass. So.
Well, I want to understand the business. So, like I said, Dave, you know me, I want to see if they can make money and pay me in the future. Because that kind of, you know, that's kind of how I look at things. You know,
I just thought important for where they can deliver my yacht.
Brian's also asking, what's the right approach as far as connecting with a technical SEO that can do the migration correctly if you're more of the marketing type, SEO type? Right approach, I don't know. Isn't this kind of like anything you look for contractors for? Talk to people you trust first, and friends of yours, and people you trust in the business. I think that's always where I go. You know what I mean? Like when I have a need, it's like, okay, well, I'll go ask Terry, I'll ask Steve, I'll ask Wissam, you know, whoever I think, Rob, or whoever might be technically more inclined that area. It's like, who do you recommend? You know, that's always my approach.
I do the same thing. I start with 4 or 5 people that I ask in private. And then if I'm still not getting an answer or whatever, then we start going to the more public groups like the Dojo chat and places like that. Because you don't usually, you know, if you're connected to even a small group, you're going to get somebody who knows. If they don't know the answer, they know somebody who does.
Yeah.
So that's always, you know, having that.
And you're always generally going to get better service from someone that was referred by a friend because they know what to piss you off and so on. So, as far as approaching it,
especially when you go back to the group and talk about it.
As far as approaching it, when you know past that point, again, I think it goes back to what we just finished saying, Brian. As far as making sure that whoever's working with you on a technical and understands the business model, understands the various nuances of the situation before you even get into the technical shit. You know? I think and hope that helped. I'm not sure.
A lot of times that's part of your decision-making processes. You know, how do these guys make their money?
Locking you into
it has to be, Terry, because we paid next month, and the next month, and the next month.
Right. Or you can just explain to the people why they're, you know, what they're doing doesn't work beforehand, so that, you know, I believe in telling people, look, your price point isn't going to work, and I'll tell them before the work starts. So, because a lot of times that is the problem. Some people have this idea that they can actually sell stuff for more money on the internet than they can offline. I never understood that one, but it's out there. Me and Dave have seen that in action.
Before we get moving on to more entertaining things, Mr. Bill Slosky character here again. He's an avid fan of the show. He says, is SEO science good or evil? First, you got to figure out if that's an oxymoron.
SEO science.
SEO what?
SEO science.
Oh, what's his name? Something like. Oh, wasn't Michael Martinez who wrote something about that last week? Something
well, I think it's all just fallout from the correlation causation discussion.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah.
Say no more.
So, part and parcel. Okay, let's see where we go. I think Terry had something very entertaining to share today. There you go, Terry.
Yeah.
What? What's wrong, Terry? So you're advising that all our viewers and listeners follow this wonderful infographic. I would assume. I believe I did run across this. Oh yes, this is the one that uses actual SEO Moz, no SEO anymore. Uses Moz scoring, like page authority as a correlation. Oh, see, Bill, look at this, buddy. This segued nicely off of Bill's thing. Oh, God.
And Searchmetrics as well is part of this.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I kind of find these correlation studies now very amusing.
Well, look at the top one. The top one there, for those who can't see it in the video, is length of URL. It's funny, Steve, because didn't we just talk about hub pages and things like that that tend to accrue more internal equity and things of that nature?
Exactly.
So isn't a shorter URL like domain name / category / where that hub page would be? So isn't a correlation like that just stupid? Because, you know, length of URL in the way they're talking about it being the #1 fucking factor also doesn't take into account the fact that these are probably hub pages in the analysis. You know, like, oh Lord Jesus, this shit.
Well, and it's a very limited seed set. You know, like Google's is tens of billions of pages. These guys, if we're lucky, tens of millions that they're looking at. So, you know.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. So, you know, look at correlation, whatever. You know, if it works, it works. It's that simple. You know, everybody's still looking. For the 20 years I've been in SEO, they're still looking for the fucking silver bullet.
Push button. Push button. Big red fucking button, dude. They want a big red button that says rank me, motherfucker.
Make me
like staples. They want one of those.
Rank my ass.
Staples. Yeah. There you go.
I'm gonna register the domain rankmyass.com and just sell big red.
Here's the other thing, Dave. Like you could look at stuff like this back in the day because the algorithm consisted of so few things. Now there are so many things that are bundled together and everything else. This kind of stuff is a waste of time. Like you just can't. I don't know.
It's like they got site speed well ranked above things like, let's see, keyword and domain name. Yeah, that's never useful.
Yeah, site speed is more important than the keyword in the fucking domain. It makes me fucking angry to see stupid shit like that. And this is put out there as fucking knowledge. No wonder most of the people in our industry are kind of slow. If you know.
Oh look!
As
Look here at the very. Here at the very bottom with a 0.00 rating is keyword in title.
That's how useful that is, folks.
Oh my
I think you could pretty well turn it all upside down and you'd have the right order.
Keep scrolling down. Is there a smiley face on this somewhere?
Yeah. Is it, what is it? April 1st? What is the date? What's the date on this? April 1st. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Mozscape social correlations, Searchmetrics social correlations. Like the fact that they've got Google +1s above Facebook shares is kind of funny too, because I'm sure that +1s aren't nearly as used as Facebook shares are. Like with people, not as a ranking factor. I just mean in general. Like
Facebook shares are not fucking indexable. So Google or no search engine that's fucking, compliant is reading that shit. The problem is these fucking tools do. So they spread garbage like that. Eric Gang's test pretty much proved that +1s do fuck all. Waste of energy. If you're doing it.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that. It's great. Hey, indexation, if you want it, it's like pinging Google and, so indexation and other stuff, sure. I have no problem with
Look at +1 is an easy thing to do. You click a little button. When you're sharing something with your whole tribe, right? That fucking means something. A +1 means 0. Just my opinion.
Well, so their key takeaway are build lots of awesome links to your pages.
Build lots of awesome links, Dave, not just links. They gotta be awesome.
Because that could never go wrong. Get a good mix of links from different IP addresses, C blocks, and root domains. Anyone listening, if you're worried about links that level, you're probably doing something that's dodgy and going to get fucked eventually.
They're fucking working in 2005. That's the fucking
Or you got a made for AdSense site or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to link to others, external websites. Okay.
No shit.
Keep your brand name and URL short and punchy. So yeah, here's the SEO guy going to fucking some big corporation. We gotta change our brand name. It's good for SEO. That'll work out pretty well. Don't host your blog on a subdomain.
Every 2 years anyway.
Facebook and Twitter have what?
Engagement is very high relative to ranking.
Look, you can't even index the engagement on Twitter. Like, how fucking dumb are these guys? Like, come on, really? Idiots.
Focus on long-form content. There you go.
That's
Again,
what the fuck is long-form content? Is that like 1,500 words? Or is it 1,300 words? Or is it 1,000? Or does it mean I have pictures and words? Come on.
Get a .com domain. Get a .com domain. They may be favored by Google in search visibility.
Now that's absurd. That's ridiculous. It's not very much of an advantage if you're in Peru. It's probably a bad thing. Do these guys not understand indexes like that Google?
No, but you can download their free white paper.
Oh boy, that's what we need.
There's your smiley face, Steve.
And there we go. Now we know how all the fucking bullshit in our industry gets propagated. Because everyone gives away white papers on bullshit. Waste of time.
Bill Zlowski is still talking about those. There was 2 articles. It's back to the science question. 2 articles. This morning, one was painted as SEO science. One painted as good. One painted as bad. Both were interesting. Yeah, I think I caught at least one of those. But yeah. Oh, and again, the screen share killed my camera. That's awesome.
SEO science, is that when you do it with a stick up your ass?
Yeah, I think it all depends how we define it.
Guys, sorry.
No, that's okay. I think it all depends on one defines science, I guess. Maybe.
Oh, he means
there's some
white coat SEO, you know, the guys who fancy themselves to be, you know, scientists, using the scientific methods. Oh yeah, meaning
some
using
character
it at a different level. That's all.
So some character named Wissam is also like beginner. Says Terry. They're saying correlation. They don't mean having long form content means it's a cause. They're ranking. What? Yeah.
Hi, Wes.
Yeah, what's up, Wes? Miss you, buddy. Where you been? Goodbye, Friday. What else is out there?
Oh, Dave, he hangs out with the webmaster at Google now. We are no longer good enough for Wes.
Oh, is that what happened to him?
Yeah, he's moved up and on. He hangs out with the Google webmaster now. But that's good. He's always lots of fun. What's next, Dave?
All right, let's see. You had upcoming events in the old note. We'll try to move on to something a little more interesting. You were looking at the upcoming events.
Oh yeah, Google taking more traffic away from websites. Get used to it, folks.
All right, what?
Me, I
Well,
try to
Steve,
use it.
did you slip him something, Steve? You starting to sound like you a bit.
I was stunned there for a moment.
Yeah, so was I. I was kind of speechless for a moment, going, "Okay, what happened? Did Steve slip him something?" Or anyways, recap this one for us, Terry, quickly. I want to grab a drink here.
Google's putting events for musical artists. New way for them to list their events. It's got to go through certain companies, so of course, the gilded few, the chosen ones.
Well, of course, you have to work with people you trust.
Yes. Well, I can kind of see it. In other ways, I don't. Just like we should have. Did anyone put up the article on Google partnering with music companies to basically kick indies off of YouTube?
Oh my God, that's a huge topic.
Yeah, that's why I shouldn't have mentioned it. Steve's gonna
Oh
go.
my God. Yeah, we could spend a couple hours on this one.
Yeah, maybe next week when we can research it a bit, and Steve and I'll have a debate on it.
A debate.
Yeah, or a slugfest, whatever you feel.
I was just wondering what the D stood for, but
Dave could rap. We'll have
yay!
the Rumble.
What else we got? Okay, I thought this was weird.
Mitch is asking a question. Mitch is asking a question here in the Q&A about if it's better for your social presence and branding to be connected to an influencer.
All right, he asked us this last Friday during the chat. We just didn't get around to it. Everyone was yipping, so all right.
I'd say yes. I found it, correlates to higher ranking. How's that?
It's good for no other reason than for networking, for being out there. Social is one of those things where you just got to get out there and shake hands and hug and kiss and be the guy, unless of course your persona is the exact opposite of that, and then you go out and kick people in the butt and juggle puppies or whatever. But yeah, being connected, and I guess it depends on what you mean by connected.
Aren't even those two concepts connected? Meaning that before you become an acknowledged expert, you do end up, being close to people that will, help establish you as one. Don't they come hand in hand? So I think that's the carrot, the cart and the horse. Yeah, you probably want to be connected to these people along the way to push your own expertise, or as you said, acknowledged expertise, Mitch. How do you get acknowledged? Again, by knowing the right people. Even with you, Terry. I was at a certain level of prominency in the industry before I met you. Then I met you in your fucking Rolodex, and it went to another level. So I think that plays into it.
Yeah, but also when influencers share your stuff on Google Plus. Now, let's say I've seen that helps.
Oh yeah, certainly. Having. There's a reason why so many people watch and comment on Gary Vaynerchuk's videos during the week on YouTube, because one shout out from him can be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely
on Twitter
associated with people.
Yeah, and there's people on Twitter that if they retweet something of yours, that's good for some more action, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
If they're true influencers and not guys who just have a lot of followers, right? That's the other thing. Know what an influencer is, or the difference between. So it goes a little bit further than looking to see if they have a bunch of followers. Look to see if they share stuff, you know.
I'm not even sure if Mitch is even talking about social graphs and things that Google or other you know, technology might connect, you know what I mean? I think on that level maybe that it depends how much you're interacting with them. Look at it almost like the Facebook model, whereas, you know, people you don't engage with on a regular basis, you don't see in your Facebook stream. You know, I think to a degree, a social graph with Google or something might be along those lines as well. Are you just following somebody in the social graph, or are they following you back and engaging with you on a regular basis? You know, I mean, I remember Matt talking one day, and he used Gmail as an example, and he said, you know, well, if we notice that certain emails come from at a certain time of day from a certain person, you open them right away and reply to them, we might assume that that's your boss, and that you're oh, goodness, is support. Whereas other people, you leave it until 6 o'clock, you know, or whenever you get home or something like that. So if you think of Google understanding maybe connectivity of that nature, again, it depends. Are you just connected to this person because you followed them on Twitter and they fucking auto-follow everybody back? It's probably a little different in the social graph kind of scoring elements than someone who actually engages back with you when you speak and so on.
That's why I think Google doesn't really use plus ones. They go for the sharing where, you know, there's other metrics they can put onto that. You know what I mean? Like when someone shares it, they can see how many people in that influencers group shared it. You know what I mean? Like that's the ripples that Google talks about in their social stuff. That's what they're really interested in. And I think topicality has a lot to do with influencers as well.
Well, sadly, we're almost at the top of the hour, so we got like leftover fucking show notes for next time. I guess since you're such a good mood, Terry, I thought I'd pass this out here for everyone. This is one of Terry's favorite articles from the last little while.
Only because of, you know, if you read the title, right?
Okay, which I'm going to do for those listening to the podcast. So, Google Ventures backed Retailmenot climbs out of its Google penalty. Was the yes. This was based upon what, Terry?
Need I say? Not very much. Someone looked and couldn't discern right away, I think, what they did to recover. You know, read the article and then you read. You don't really find out what the real deal is. You know, someone.
Oh, yeah, there's nobody from Retailmenot talking circle. This is just a news piece on search engine land using some search metrics data.
Right.
Which we know is uber reliable as well.
Yeah. First of all, let's well, search metrics measures visibility. So I question to begin with how accurate that is in showing a penguin.
Steve, essentially, Steve, if I took a site that had tons of rankings for all kinds of useless, crappy pages and and I refocused the architecture, maybe like we're talking about off the top of the site migration, right? I can increase Google traffic because I'm getting higher rankings on the terms that matter. But let's say I have 2 terms that I doubled the traffic on, Steve, because I got from like page 2 up to the top 5, right? But I had 10 pages that I axed or downgraded or moved in the architecture that don't rank anymore. According to search metrics, visibility, my graph would go down, right? Because less terms are ranking, et cetera, right? And so, yeah, it never does. Their data just has holes in it. Like I've had sites that I'm actually managing. So I've got Google Analytics sitting in front of me. I can see the Google traffic. I can, to a degree, see the queries, my landing page, and my query data. I get a good sense of what's happening. You know, and so it's climbing up and up and up and up. Then you go and stuff it into search metrics. It looks like it's going down and down and down because as Terry said, visibility went down. But doesn't mean your traffic and revenue didn't.
Right. In other words, it doesn't really measure a metric that's good for finding.
Oh, come on, can I do it? It just doesn't correlate.
Even
it doesn't correlate.
That even they're like, well, I can't tell you that. So how do I? Okay. Well, let's just say that when you look at their data, you see updates that aren't actually updates. Let's put it that way. Okay. Either way, the bottom line is Retailmenot actually did a lot of work to change the website so it would get out of whatever the problem was. I assume it was Panda. I just questioned that the tool used to discover Panda might not have been the best that I've seen. It may still show it, I don't know, but I know because of what I know about the data and what it measures that it can't accurately show one of these penalties. That's my opinion. I may be wrong. But in the end, it turns out that Retailmenot had done some pretty major overhauls to the architecture and whatnot of the website to make it go. You learn that by reading the comments.
Yeah,
and that's my problem.
I don't think anyone ever knows until you're on the inside and you have access to the actual, web measurables, analytics, everything else. It's the usual SEO industry crap. Make a definitive statement about something we can never truly know about. It's like,
yeah.
All right. Well, don't think we really have time to start another one, so we'll call it a day there, unless anyone else has something to add.
Well, Friday we're going to talk about what, Dave? So
free for all, buddy. Ask us anything. Ask us, how many times Steve takes.
Come and ask more questions like you did today. Anything is out there.
That's it, man. We're going to leave the door open and let them just come and ask us anything and have some fun. It's been a while. First one of the year, so that'll be nice. Next Wednesday, Search Geek Speak. We're going to have Deborah Mass. Always remember Mass. I butcher it all the time. Masteller, see Christy Hines, Julie Joyce, Doc Sheldon, and I think Laura Crest might be joining us as well. So the ladies will be outnumbering us next week there, Terry.
It's never a bad thing, Dave.
No, because I don't even think of it that way. We just found the smartest people we could for the session. Oh, sorry, and we'll be talking about, it's sort of a carryover from last week's show if you missed it, on content strategy. And we'll be looking at content development and content promotion on and off the site. There you go. And that's next Wednesday, same time, same place. And I think that's everything, isn't it? We got it all covered there, Terry. Wow, look at us go. Hey, we're actually sounding organized this year.
Looks like it.
Wow, okay.
A little scary.
Yeah. And I guess next Friday in our 2 weeks from today, Steve, we're going to play with some local advice and things of that nature as far as our educational segment of the show. So, yeah, I don't think we would have fit that in. We ate up half an hour as it was. So.
Oh, wow. Hey, cool. If we're doing that then, Dave, I've been working on some stuff for cleaning up naps, so maybe I can write something up on that.
Well, there you go. Yeah, because I know Steve's got a bunch of stuff he wants to get into, so that'll be the next Regulators, folks.
There we go.
All right, gentlemen. Pleasure as always, folks. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, go make lots of money.
Oh, nothing on the end there. Wow. How about make lots of money learning from those infographics? I don't know. Anyways, all right, folks. Till next time.